Moxie and I are here at BMW of Ventura, and we are here to get hopefully the last of my issues sorted with my bike.
Issues with the bike. We've got oil leaking from several spots of the engine, worst one being the base of the cylinder, which requires taking off the whole top end. Handlebars are bent, the tail light is not working, and the assembly is not making any connection. Most of the time when the bike is cold, it doesn't idle very well and it just stalls and just turns off all by itself. And then lastly, but also probably the worst issue, is the clutch just slipping under load. So lots of things cumulative together on this bike.
Moxie, Greg, and I are riding around the world to raise $100,000 for the nonprofit Girl Up. We're donating 10% of Roughly sales to the fundraiser and posting a new episode every week. It's a big dog on two wheels adventure for girls' empowerment. So follow along and please lend your support. We're getting ready to leave our hotel to go to the Get On ADV Fest, which is hosted by Revzilla and RawHyde. It is a windy day, and I think the next few days are going to be really windy, so I'm a little bit worried about how we're going to be camping in that wind out there in the desert, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. I am going to try and start my bike. It is problematic. It is now like struggling. I'll be able to start it. It's a little sluggish to start, and then I'll be in neutral, and then all of a sudden it'll shut off. Okay, I'm going to try it.
Go.
Okay, so at least that part started. The Get On ADV Fest. We are in our booth right now. We've got Moxie, who is resting in the shade after a long 10-minute ride this morning from the hotel. But we're going to be here for the next 3 days.
Jess bought these RX bars that have been melting in the sun, so anytime you open your mouth, it's like concrete and you get stuck.
Yes.
Yet another important use for the Giant Loop Tillamook is to act as a sandbag to hold down your canopy in very windy conditions like we have here. So the uses for the Giant Loop Tillamook are really endless at this point. One of the things that your Tillamook dry bag is good for is collecting firewood once you're at the campsite. Just be careful that you don't have any stowaway insects, so clean it out really well afterwards, and do it gently so that you don't damage the waterproofing. So Jess gets to spend the time at ADV Fest, like talking to people and engaging and like sharing the story. And I'm basically relegated to, doing work and gobbling down whatever like morsels of food that get passed along to me by nice people who see me sort of stuck with my face in the screen and suffering.
Just a quick timeout to tell you how you can support the GoRUFFLY Around the World adventure for Girl Up. You can donate directly to Girl Up at GoRuffly.com/world-adventure. You can make a purchase at GoRuffly.com where 10% goes towards the fundraiser. Tell all your friends and family about it. And of course, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much. Now back to the adventure. So you can see everybody's got a bunch of different types here. There are a lot of GSs, but there are a lot of other things. There's the Tenerias here, the 700, there's some Tigers, there's some KTMs, there's some Yamahas. There's a bunch of different bikes as well, so it's not just all GSs. I know that GSs are really popular here, but it's nice to see sort of a variety of bikes and of people just doing their thing.
Moxie is supposed to be our very best brand ambassador for Roughly. And when it counts, she cannot be obliged to sit, lay, or stand on her tender pot trekker.
Because there's only really a few, like smaller GSs, like my 650, I think it might be, I saw two, there's actually one right there. But yeah, most of them are the bigger bikes, but it is what it is, and everybody gets a chance to bring out what they enjoy riding, and that's really the whole point of this experience, is to use your bike and learn the skills that you need for riding off-road.
Everybody's setting up camp and getting themselves ready for 3 days of fun. Definitely sounds pretty when you say it that way. So Jess and I have not really done much of any kind of group camping, so I kind of assumed that they would have it set up with some sort of like, you know, gradient scale of color, like from blue sort of shades all the way to red, and that was like the snoring scale, and that way like all the heavy snorers sort of are thrown to one side into a snoring area. But it looks like they're just letting everybody kind of take their chances and go as they will and where they will. So I guess it gives you more like a stereo effect in that sense. Moxie has lost some weight during the first few weeks of the trip. She's probably down, you know, just a few pounds, but it makes a difference. Like, she's a very slender dog now. And as a result, like, she's getting cold a lot quicker and more easily than she used to. As a result, Moxie is wearing Jess's heated vest. And we do reserve the right to turn on the heating of the vest if she still needs it.
So they have like the Moto Guzzi demos here. They have the Aprilia ones here. They've got the Harley, the new Pan America. They've got a bunch there that you can try out. I really like it. So Greg doesn't like it because he thinks that they're bug-eyed.
I do think that this
I don't think so,
Guzzi
though.
looks a little bug-eyed.
I think that they look beautiful.
It's this badass Red Bull rig here that's blasting out music, and it is right next to the Porta-Johns. Not great placement.
Here are all the Harley Pan Americans. This is their like adventure bike that they've got out. They have a whole bunch out here where you could do demos on them. They're really beautiful looking adventure bikes. This is their adventure bike that they came out with just a few years ago.
Loki is the RawHyde camp dog. She just kind of, I think, just sort of showed up one day, and they adopted her, and she is just a total love. She's also the kind of alpha of the rest of the dogs until Moxie showed up and basically battled her into submission. And now every time Loki comes by, she almost immediately takes the submissive lay down posture, and Moxie sort of lords it over her. Moxie uses her snout as like a sword, as like a pick, and just like jabs her with it to like get a reaction. And Loki sort of just takes it and then scampers off as soon as Moxie is bored and looking the other way.
So law tigers, it's really nice to know that it's there, but you don't really ever want to have to use it. They are personal injury lawyers for motorcyclists.
Pretty much everybody camps in the camping area, but it is a little bit of like a bullpen, and some people even choose then to just go out and camp in the desert, and that is pretty awesome, and I think really generally the right way to do it. The only issue is if you have a day where it is just absolutely blasting wind, and then you run back to your wild campsite here in the desert and find that it is pretty much gone. That is the posture of, I'm waiting for you to love me.
By the way, you did, I'm right here. By the way, I'm right here. You did notice I'm right here.
Yeah.
The whole idea here is that you get to wear your body armor and then you put like a shell on top of it. And this would work really well for somebody like Greg, who is a little bit smaller in stature, but stature.
Failed insult.
When I back up my cases enough and they're not waterproof anymore, I just put a little, what do you call these? A little shower cap on my,
Exactly.
Very clever, nice move.
It has been really windy all day. Brutally windy, which makes it brutally cold. We have bundled Moxie up extra well with both of our vests and with a jacket, and she seems to be just curled up beautifully. We've also moved our tent to be sort of taking shelter amongst a couple of RVs that belong to the exhibitors, and that is helping a lot with the wind, which is still pretty strong but not as bad as it's been. But it's all of a sudden smelling really poopy because someone in one of the RVs has just done a number 2, opened the door, and a huge waft has just struck us right in the tent, right in the under the rain fly. and it's in here and it's like trapped now.
Get on ADV Fest has been awesome. It was great that they had both Revzilla and RawHyde together here. And I'm going to be coming back to this facility in probably not this week, but next week, getting to do a private class so that I can get my skills up and ready for the rest of our adventure.
Brand new street and brand new me. Side by friends I need. Don't you tell me that you're in town, I already know. Couple days ago.
Bye guys! Bye! Bye-bye!
Sounds like home. Still I'm here alone and I'm calling your phone. I wish I could wipe my own memory out. I wish I could dream about somebody else. I wish I could talk when the silence so loud. I wish.
I'm excited that I get to come back here. I will be back here at RawHyde probably in a couple of weeks to actually get a private lesson. I didn't get a chance to do the courses because we've been at the booth the whole time, so Jim was able to set up something so that I can come out and do the off-road course, and then maybe even do some with Moxie to just get some more instruction about the best way to do it, the safest way to do it, so that when we do hit Africa and we hit sand and all of that, I will be prepared. We are going to be heading through the Angeles National Forest on the way down. So we're going to go through that beautiful area. Supposedly it goes up to like 8,000 feet. So it's going to be a little bit cool and great for Moxie. And then we'll head down and then we'll be in LA for the next 2 weeks.
Hey, now that our names are written in stone, let's be honest, sounds like home. Still I'm here alone and I'm calling your phone. I wish I could wipe my own memory out. I wish I could dream about somebody.
It was a really nice ride, except for the fact that I dropped my bike. Completely my fault. The camber was bad and I wasn't paying enough attention and we went down.
She picked this terrible spot to pull over with all this camber, and she just pulls over here to pee, and it's like leaning, and then she loses her balance on the gravel and tips over. My response as I was watching it was, and that's going over. And it did. So I called it just as it was happening, which is basically like I almost made it happen. So she's peed, Moxie has watered, we've righted the bike, and now we continue on through the Angeles National Forest, hopefully without any more incidents.
Nothing was wrong with the bike, everything worked well. It started up, we got stuck in traffic, my bike didn't turn off, thank God, and now we're here. Moxie and I are on our way to Bike Moto Shed. It's the LA branch. This is the one that is really popular in London, and they have a branch here in LA. So this is the first time I'm going to actually see it. It's actually really the first time that I'm going to any really biker hangout since I've been a rider, really, because when we bought the bikes here in 2013, I didn't want anything to do with it. I was really anxious about going to see like the rock store and all of the cool places because I just didn't feel comfortable. So this is really going to be the first outing here in LA with these bikes where I get to feel like a true rider.
at the Bike Shed in Los Angeles. They have 2 locations. The other and the famous one, the first one, is in London, and this, I guess, is like the younger sibling.
I think they've only been open for a couple weeks. They had a grand opening a couple weeks ago. Go inside over here, they have the restaurant, the bar, the barber shop, the tattoo parlor.
Really cool, just merely the fact that it's all moto parking inside here. We haven't even actually made it in yet because Jess has basically been loved by people basically who love dogs and motorcycles, and that's so awesome that it puts a smile on a bunch of grizzly old bikers' faces.
If you become a member, membership's like $1,500.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but it's very, you know, it opens up a lot to you. They do big rides, opportunities to go into their membership only bar, lounge area.
We weren't sure if it is pet friendly, but we saw someone walking in with, I think it was a golden retriever, and didn't appear to be a service dog or anything. So if that's the case, then we shouldn't have any problems, and hopefully we can go have a drink and a little bit of feed and check out the museum.
We are in Bike Moto Shed, and we are looking for, well, you're really close to my face. We're at Bike Moto Shed, and we are getting a seat to... So we're on our way to see the bikes in the display room. They've only been open for like 3 weeks, so this is all brand new, so it's like half full. But look at these things, how cool is this?
This is like a moto museum in progress. The beginnings.
I don't think that seat would be very comfortable.
That is the mother of hemorrhoid makers. Yeah, a shepherd on a husky. that's not a mating.
Shepherd on a husky.
That's not a mating practice.
Wait, isn't this? Aren't the Arch motorcycles by what's his name?
Oh yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, right. They do all the custom.
Yeah, that's like a $75,000 to $80,000 bike.
Yeah, Moxie, just saddle up.
One day, the bike that I ride around the world will be in a museum. Maybe not exactly like this, but somebody's gonna want it.
And the cockpit will be on that bike.
Exactly.
And Moxie's travel schnout juices will be all over the cockpit that is on the bike that is in the Bike Shed Museum.
We're here at Deus Ex Machina. It's on Venice Boulevard. Supposedly it's a moto joint here for bikers. You can come and have coffee and you can have breakfast.
Wouldn't be LA without a surfboard, right?
And there's a bunch of riders that are here too. So we're here to enjoy the ambiance of another biker place. Look, you can get a matte pomade for your beard. Low sheen. So all of the riders here at Deus Ex Machina, they all went out for a ride this morning. They actually are riding towards the Bike Moto Shed, which is where we were at last night. So they went on their way, we're gonna go on ours. We're gonna head over to Neptune's Net, which is on the Pacific Coast Highway, and then from there we go up into the canyons towards the Rock Store and just sort of hit all of the hot spots and see what everybody's riding and what's the newest and latest and greatest. nice Neptune's net, but unfortunately they don't allow dogs on the patio or in the restaurant, so we're in the parking lot area. This is just the parking lot of Neptune's net, so you can see California does have beautiful places, even in parking lots. We're gonna water Moxie and then hang out a little bit and then head on up to the rock store.
Neptune's is a hot spot on the weekend for Dyna people to do wheelies and burnouts and donuts.
I see.
Yeah.
So they're just waiting until somebody does it and then they're going to go run after them?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see 3 on the right side going eastbound, 3 that just pulled over a cop.
So we just saw the dolphins out there. It's not...
There. Oh, 2 of them, yeah.
2 of them.
They both came up at the same time.
Wow. It's just such a unique thing. Like, where would you ever expect to sort of see dolphins? It wasn't a whale, but it was a dolphin. And so that was really cool. And hopefully we'll see some more as we continue on. We're going to do a little circle around here, let Moxie explore the area as she pulls me away. We met a lot of nice bikers out here, people doing really cool things, and they're all loving Moxie, which is nice. She gets all the attention.
I heard a ringing bell this morning, and it woke me from a dream. And in that dream I heard a warning, saying leave the rest, take only what you need. So keep on singing listen, 'cause you can make it on your own. Time goes slowly, the world gets lonely when you got no one on your side. You gotta love one another, sister and brother.
At the Rock Store, which is a characteristic part of the moto culture of Southern California, of LA area. It's been here, I think, pretty much forever, since time began, or maybe for about 50 years, one of those two.
Oh my gosh, you were so cute. Hi, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That is so cute.
Really, like, just good people and sort of, you know, basic, like, hearty food. And they did actually have a vegetarian burger, which was awesome. And so now we get to take a little bit of a photo in the front, because that's like, we're tourists, right? So that's what we're gonna do. This is what driving looks like. It's not riding, it's driving. This is what it looks like.
Moxie and I are here at the Ventura County BMW. This is actually where we bought our motorcycles in 2013, and we are here to get hopefully the last of my issues sorted with my bike, and then we will be able to have a leak-free bike.
We are deconstructing Jess's bike just a bit in terms of her riding luggage and some of the accessories that are on the handlebars and stuff, because, well, they're going to replace the handlebars and they need to get underneath the plastics. So we're kind of helping them along with that since it needs to be done anyway, and since we sort of know our mods better than anyone, just makes sense to do that. So ram mount things are gonna have to come off, and we've got for the phone, we've got for the cameras, we've got the tank saddlebags that needed to come off, the cockpit needed to come off, better that we should do it, tank bag, harness. So there's a lot that goes into it, but we're gonna move this thing forward.
So they're going to replace the gasket that we had sitting here for so long in LA. So they're going to do that. Then they're going to do the handlebar, which I bent in Guanajuato. So I had my first fall of the trip. Google was telling us to go through this route, which is basically like a small little pathway in between these little houses. Then all of a sudden we get to the spot here where all of the stairs start. As I stopped, and we just plopped over. And then after that, we also have to do two other things. I'm getting my front tire changed, and then I am also going to get them to check out my rear brake light assembly. You put the light in, but it doesn't have the running light, only the stop light. So hopefully they will be able to solve these issues. Back to where it all started, here at BMW of Ventura.
Issues with the bike. We've got oil leaking from several spots of the engine, worst one being the base of the cylinder, which requires taking off the whole top end. The battery is not good, handlebars are bent, the tail light is not working, and the assembly is not making any connection. Front tire is bald. Most of the time when the bike is cold, it doesn't idle very well and it just stalls and just turns off all by itself. Front brake disc is more than 0.5 millimeter below thickness, and the rear brake disc, same thing, about 0.5 millimeter under thickness. The chain is okay, but the sprockets are not. They've seen better days. And then lastly, but also probably the worst issue, is the clutch just slipping under load. So lots of things cumulative together on this bike.
Hi guys, thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. So let me just get one thing out there. I feel really bad about it, but for some reason I could not get it through my mind that it is Bike Shed Moto. You heard me say it. I said it like 5 times and I said Bike Moto Shed. Something about it just didn't work for me, but my apologies to them, Bike Shed Moto, because you guys are awesome. We had a really great time there and had a really great dinner. So yes, Bike Shed Moto, I will remember it. A big thank you to Revzilla and to RawHyde Adventures. They were great in comping us our tickets to get into the Get On ADV Fest. It was a fantastic event. One, because we were able to set up our own little booth there. We were able to talk to people about our adventure and about what it's like traveling with a dog and how you can ADV with a dog. So that was all really good. And we also got to meet a lot of other people who are adventurers and who are doing really fun things. So it was great on both fronts to be able to share our knowledge about what it's like riding with a dog, but also to gain knowledge from others about off-roading and skills that you need and the gear that you need too. It was interesting to see all the different vendors and the innovation that's going on in the adventure world for off-roading, about what type of stuff you can have to help protect yourself, to make it better, to make it easier, to make it safer. So it was a great experience for us on so many accounts. So huge thank you to Revzilla and RawHyde for letting us come to that event. And also to RawHyde. So Jim Hyde, who is the owner of RawHyde Adventures, he is comping me a private lesson, an off-road private lesson. Because when we were at the ADV Fest, we were at the booth the whole time talking with people, so I didn't really get a chance to go out and really try the trails and get the training that I really wanted. And if you guys have been following along with us, you know that even on our first trip, our first North to South America trip, 9 years ago now, I guess, we always wanted to do a RawHyde course to just get those foundational skills for off-roading. And I've obviously done quite a bit of off-roading, but always sort of had that feeling that maybe there's something, some skills that I need to really get sort of through my head first before I move on to something that's a bit more difficult, and to just feel a little bit more comfortable. I think you guys all know that off-road is always my boogeyman, and I get anxious about it. And but by getting the training and to have those skills, I think that's really what I need to feel confident, to be riding alone, and also to be having Moxie on the back. So thank you so much, Jim. I'm really looking forward to the training, and I hope that it all goes smoothly, and that I'll be able to use those skills further down the line as we continue to come across dirt, even if it's just like riding into the national forest and pulling off and doing some wild camping on like those fire roads. Like just being able to practice the skills of standing and the enduro turning and all of that, and the stopping. That's really what I need, and I need a refresher on those courses. So thank you, Jim. And lastly, bike issues. I love my bike. And if you guys don't know, her name is actually Moxie Thumper. I had Moxie first before I had German Shepherd Moxie. And so my bike and my dog are sort of named the same. But Moxie Thumper, my 2013, has just really been struggling. And you saw there at Ventura, they even diagnosed the clutch slipping, which is really interesting because this is my first real bike, and it's the only one that I've really ridden, and I don't really ride other people's bikes. Just was never in a situation where there were other bikes around that I could just jump on. I sort of just used my own, and I was a bit anxious about doing that too, riding somebody else's and potentially dropping it. But with the clutch slipping, when he mentioned that, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. Because I was noticing that I was struggling to be able to get from first into second. I felt like maybe I wasn't doing it properly, and of course it's all my own neuroses of feeling like it's all my fault. But that feeling that I wasn't pushing the shifter hard enough. But when he said about the clutch slipping, I was like, yes, that's exactly it. I was struggling to get it into gear, and it kept coming back down, and I couldn't get it to stay. So that was a good insight. And it also reminds you about how adaptable that I end up being. Like the same thing with the bent handlebars. It's like I could recognize they were bent, but only after somebody really pointed it out to me, because I could accommodate whatever was going on. Like if the clutch was slipping, okay, then I might have to shift up twice. Or if the handlebars were a bit crooked, yeah, I had a bit of pain in my back, but didn't really associate it with the riding aspect of it. So I know I'm malleable in those things, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it was a great way to sort of look at the bike again and see what issues there were. And by trying different bikes, I think that I wouldn't have gone so long with thinking that was okay. So it was a good thing to know that I should be like riding other people's bikes or trying out bikes when they have the demo bikes, just to see what it feels like, just to make sure that mine is still doing what I need it to be doing, because you get so accustomed to it when you're riding it day in and day out that those issues don't really come up. So you guys are going to have to watch the next episode to see what really happens with Moxie Thumper, my 2013, and what we decide, because yeah, that bill was really, really high. So keep an eye out for that one. That one comes out next Sunday at 11 a.m. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube so that you know that it's when it comes out, and have your notifications on so that you get the little dingle when the new episode pops up. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at GoRUFFLY so you can see all of the other cool things that we're doing along the way. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll talk to you soon.